Help support AMTV by becoming a patron, an AMTV staff member, and following us over on Twitter. Hi there guys, it's Adam Martyn here, and the news is in. If you remember, if you're a Doctor Who fan, one thing Doctor Who fans like to have a look at and sometimes obsess over, myself included, is the viewing figures, which is the measure of how many people watched a transmitted story. Now, of course, recently we've had The Power of the Doctor, which was Jodie's final story. It's the end of the 13th Doctor, the end of the Chris Chibnall era, and we discussed in that last video that the overnight viewing figures were around 3.7 million, which again 30 years ago that would have been considered disastrous. In today's TV landscape, that's not too shabby at all. But finally, after 7 days, Barb, which is the organisation that puts out these ratings, has released the 7-day consolidated figures for that week. So this is the chart of programmes between the 17th and the 23rd of October, and how many viewers they got within a 7-day period of transmission. So that's including things like watching on catch-up services, watching recordings that were saved, etc. So there's 50 programmes in the chart, and I can happily confirm that Doctor Who placed 5th. That's right, it came in the top 5, and it had 5.295, or to round up to one decimal point, 5.3 million viewers who tuned in. So that is quite a boost. That's a boost of 1.6 million, which is the highest 7-day consolidated boost since Revolution of the Daleks from New Year's Day 2021. So this got more viewers within 7 days than all of Flux and the two 2022 specials that came before it. So that's nice to see. I did hope in my last video, I think I said I hope that it did crack 5 million. I think in today's TV landscape to have 5 million viewers over a 7-day period is fairly decent. Obviously, we'd love for it to have more. I mean, if you look at what beat it, so number 4 is Doc Martyn, which itself is another drama, long running on ITV. Apparently, I don't watch it, but apparently this is the final one. That got 5.61 million, so only beating Doctor Who by a few 100,000. You have the Great British Bake Off, which is like an institution in itself over on Channel 4. That's probably its biggest hitter, isn't it, for Channel 4? That got 7.794 million, so 7.8 if you want to round up. I'll do it to one decimal point, that'll be easier. And then, of course, number 1 and 2 was Strictly Come Dancing, which somehow is still the biggest programme in these charts when it's on this time of year. So the results show on Sunday got 8.6 million, and the main show on the Saturday, the day before, got a staggering 9.9 million. So for programmes as old as Strictly, you know, Strictly's nearly 20 years old, and it's still getting nearly 10 million viewers over a 7-day period. Fair play to Strictly, man. There's a lot of people who like Strictly across all generations, from people my age to people who are well older than that. So again, I just want to iterate for Doctor Who, this quirky little sci-fi show that's been going on for yonks, to pull in that many people, I think is pretty impressive. Now, obviously, it did have a few factors drawing it in. Regeneration episodes tend to get a bit of a boost anyway. Of course, this was the end of Jodie's time. There would be the rumblings of David Tennant coming back at the end that people would probably want to see. You have all the returning monsters, the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Masters in this one. You've got all companions. So I was hoping and sort of expected a big boost in the viewing figures over 7 days, and I'm happy that's happened. And just, you know, there will still be naysayers who are saying 5.3 million is still not good. Like, if you compare it to the start of Jodie's era, this is a massive climb down. And yeah, that's technically true, and I'll talk about that in a bit. But let's just look at this chart. You know, in the rest of the top 10, Doctor Who beat Coronation Street, it beat Emmerdale, you know, two of the biggest soaps on TV, both of them are ITV actually. And when it comes to the ratings normally, you know, Doctor Who has constantly been beaten by these soaps in the past, so for it to absolutely trounce them is, you know, fairly impressive. I mean, to be fair to Coronation Street, the one that came 6th, Wednesday's episode, Doctor Who only beat it by a few 100,000, but, you know, it beat Emmerdale. I mean, that rounds off the top 10, doesn't it, Corrie and Emmerdale? And just looking at sort of the top 20, you know, have I got news for you? Obviously, BBC News at 6 is getting a lot of viewers at the minute because there's still a lot going on, both home and abroad. Antiques Roadshow always seems to do pretty well. Now, that's an example. So, on the overnight viewing figures, Doctor Who, I think, was it 4th? No. Was it 4th of the day? Was it either 4th or 5th? It was one of the programs that beat it overnight was Antiques Roadshow, and just seeing it here, it's now fallen to 16th. So it just shows you how much the 7-day consolidated figures can sustain or improve a program's place in the charts. There's a lot of BBC News at 6 here, isn't there? Blankety Blank. Didn't know that was still popular. Of course, Bradley Walsh hosts that. Michael McIntyre's The Wheel. Never been too big of a fan of that show. You have a Bloodlands drama. That's here as well. The Larkins, All Creatures Great and Small on Channel 5. Nice to see Channel 5 here, placing 26 for the week. Oh, that must be a good draw for them then. That's pulling 3.7 million viewers. That's good for them. Gogglebox, wow, EastEnders, man. They're in the sort of around the 30. God, EastEnders fell off. EastEnders fell off big time. EastEnders, like, you know, Corrie and Emmerdale, that was a big one that would constantly, like, smash through into the top 10. But if this week's anything to go by, that has not happened at all. Deary me. So, yeah, again, I just want to emphasize, for Doctor Who to go top 5, that hasn't happened since 2018, I think, with Arachnids in the UK. So the fact, again, that people are saying, oh, Doctor Who's failing, it's not doing well, it's not got the audience. Well, if these charts are anything to go by, it's clearly doing all right if it's placing top 5. And just looking at the chart I've compiled over the years of Jodie's era, this is the total consolidated viewers with the 7-day figure. Now, of course, the top one is The Woman Who Fell to Earth, which had nearly 11 million viewers. And again, as I said back then, even 4 years ago, TV habits were different. There were more people watching overnight and in 7 days as opposed to not watching traditional television. But also, you know, first female Doctor, first episode. And as you see, the first 3 episodes sort of drop quite dramatically. And then from Rosa onwards for the rest of the season, it continues to drop, but it's less of a staggering drop compared to the first few episodes. So yeah, Series 11, the lowest it got, just quickly scanning the chart, the lowest Series 11 got on the 7 days was with the Battle of Ranskoor Av Kolos, which had 6.65 million on the set. So yeah, still more than Power of the Doctor, way more than 1 million. But then, you know, with Series 12, that continues to dip. You know, Spyfall starts with 6.07. Again, just reminding this is all 7-day figures here. And by the end of Series 12, with The Timeless Children, you've got 4.69. So when you actually look at it, the Power of the Doctor, out of 31 episodes, came 18th. So not quite over halfway, but, you know, near enough. It's the second highest, if we're including the specials within Series 13. It's the best performing Series 13 episode in 7-day figures, only behind the Halloween Apocalypse, which came 15th with 5.79 million viewers. But it trounces everything else. It trounces the rest of Flux. It certainly trounces the other 2022 specials, which come bottom 2, as you can see there. And Legend of the Sea Devils, man, I always feel bad for it, but a 7-day figure of 3.47 million for Doctor Who, I think a lot of us, you know, we can hold our hands up. That isn't too good, considering, you know, even the one next, Eve of the Daleks, beats it by nearly, well over 500,000. It's within the 4 million range. I'd hedge my bets. You know, obviously, I'm just a viewer. I'm just observing this, and I'm not involved in the intricacies of TV or what gets commissioned. And, you know, Doctor Who makes a massive amount of money, not just in TV sales, but in merchandising and all that. But in my personal opinion, if Doctor Who in this day and age can crack over 4, let's say ideally over 4.5 million over a 7-day period, I'd say that's fairly decent. So the other 2022 specials, they didn't quite crack that, but for, again, Power of the Doctor, 5.3 million, I think that's fairly solid. Would I have liked it to have been higher? Absolutely. You know, I would have loved this to have got 6, 7, 8 million, but the fact, you know, with the trend of the series at the minute, for it to get over 5, I'm happy with that. Oddly enough, I don't know if Barb's doing the 28-day figures anymore, because I was keeping a track of that as well. And if, again, looking at my chart, I have one as up to Eve of the Daleks, which finished with 4.75, but I think they've changed it, because for the life of me, I can't find the 28-day figures for Legend of the Sea Devils, and which makes me think I'm not going to find them for the Power of the Doctor either. So if anyone out there knows where the 28-day figures for Legend of the Sea Devils are, please let me know, because I'd love to add them to my chart, because I love charts. So if they still do 28-day figures, I'd love to see how Power of the Doctor boosts. I mean, again, it got a 1.6 million boost in a 7-day period. If they measure 28 days, I don't think it's going to be anywhere nearly that high, but could it muster an extra 500,000? Could it even crack 6 million? We're just going to have to wait and see. But that's all really for this video, a bit of a shorter one. I just wanted to address the 7-day viewing figures, because I know a lot of you, especially those who watch my Viewing Figures documentary series, would be interested in that. But those who are worried, Doctor Who is not dying. Of course, we've got David Tennant for 3 specials. Ncuti Gat was confirmed beyond that. So Doctor Who's certainly got a few more years ahead of it on TV at least, you know, and viewing figures in the grand scheme of things in 2022 television don't mean as much as they used to back in the 60s, 70s, 80s. There was a report recently that in terms of, I think, merchandising, Doctor Who earned the BBC like over $1 billion last year, which is mental. So, you know, this property is well respected enough, and I think the content manager, I think it was, of the BBC recently stressed how important Doctor Who was to their lineup on television as well. So I think the future of the show, at least the near term, is secure. Certainly maybe for the rest of the 2020s, we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, what a bow out for Jodie's era. You know, it didn't match the highs of her opener or Series 11, but for a final story to be, you know, sort of near the middle, that's fair enough. But yeah, that's all for this video. Leave a like on if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments, are you happy with 5.3 million? Do you think it should have been well higher? Is it what you expected? Did it surpass your expectations? Did you think it'd be lower? Let me know in those comments. Also, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. We'd love to have you aboard. I've been Adam Martyn from AMTV. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Thank you to our patrons for helping to support the show, and a special thank you to Macra, Hux Media, Ben Freeman, Ethan Carberry-Holt, Bruce Danton, The Broken Kick Sumanoid, and to Bose Krotz, our AMTV staff members.